video, we will utilize Academic Search Complete to find 2 journal articles related to an industry topic. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can access Academic Search Complete. When you're on your course guide, you can visit the Management Databases tab and go down to General Resources. Here you'll find Academic Search Complete. Another resource you could use is Business Source Complete, which is under the Management Start Here section. From the library's homepage, library.hiram.edu, you can click on Articles and Databases, and then select Academic Search Complete from the list of databases here, or Business Source Complete, which is a little bit further down. Either way, when you're accessing those resources when you're off campus, you will be asked to log in with your Hiram username and password. Now, before we go too far, let's briefly mention what a database is. A database is something that catalogs information. It stores information all together. So, for example, our library databases are typically a collection of journal articles that you can search. Other examples of databases are Netflix. That's one that you pay for in order to watch movies, or even Spotify, where you might pay to search for and access music. So they're all kind of the same, you just utilize them for different purposes. So let's go into Academic Search Complete now. Once I have made it into Academic Search Complete, you can see that we have our standard search box here at the top. It kind of looks like Google. But one important thing is that we can't ask a database a question like Google. We can't ask us, please tell us about the insurance industry. Instead, we have to think about what the most important words in our question might be. So in this case, I'm going to continue with my insurance trend, and I'm going to search for insurance industry. You can see as I'm typing, it's giving me some suggestions, and I can utilize those. I can simply click on one and it will do the search for me. Now, I always like to warn people that this is a computer trying to be extra smart for you. So that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the best search term when you're doing your search. So just be aware of that when you are searching. Now, I, of course, have now received 4,500 article results, and that's too many for me to go through. So I'm probably going to narrow it down a little bit. And as I scroll through, I can start to see what some of the subject terms are. So again, subject terms are the things that the article is primarily about. And somebody has gone through and decided to take a look at all the various articles and select the subjects to help you determine what they might be. But it's not always completely fail-proof, and so we're going to need to modify our search just a little bit. So I'm going to come up to the top, and I'm going to use the Refine Results menu on the left-hand side. If you happen to be using your iPad and perhaps this menu is hidden, you can click on the little arrows here to make the menus come back and forth. So on the left-hand side, I can do things like limit to full text if I wanted to only see things that I can access the full text of. I can also limit to peer-reviewed journals. And peer-reviewed journals are items that have been reviewed by somebody who is an expert in the field. So for example, a peer in the case of your class would be your fellow students, and you're all studying the same thing. In the case of your professor, a peer would be somebody else that is knowledgeable in the same field. So another professor in management or another professor that specifically studies organizational behavior. And this is really important because we want to make sure that the articles that we're reading have been checked by someone. We want to make sure that they're not just saying something random that hasn't been made sure that it's accurate. So we can select limit to peer-reviewed over on the left-hand side, and that's going to cut down our number of articles pretty significantly. I can also modify the publication date. So you may, depending on your topic, want to look further back for information, but sometimes you want to just see things that are much more recent. So let's just say in the last 10 years. When you're using your iPad, I do encourage you to type in the numbers rather than try to use the slider bar. Sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating. When we go a little bit further down, we have 2 different subject menus here. The first one, the subject thesaurus term, and the second one, just subject. So in this database, subject thesaurus is telling you all of the specific subjects that have been assigned to articles within your search. So for example, unsurprisingly, many of the articles when we're searching for insurance industries also have a subject of insurance companies. These subjects here with the subject Thesaurus are assigned by the database. The ones under here where it just says subject, these are subjects that have been tagged by the author. So either way, they may be helpful for you when you are trying to determine the best way to search. So in this case, let's say I typed in insurance industry, but what I was really most interested in is health insurance. If you recall, I was looking that up in a different video. So if I click on that health insurance, now it's going to show me only things that have a keyword of insurance industry and have a subject of health insurance. And here I can see right here, they have highlighted it in bold for me, health insurance. And so that's one way to start narrowing down your articles. But it can actually be quite tricky to be able to locate the right keywords for your search, right? Because I did something very broad, and many of you will have more specific topics. So you really need to think about the different types of searches that you might be doing in order to find the best results. So for example, down here, right, this one is about the sports industry and health service industry in China, right? And so one of the subjects is sports facilities, another is sports business, another is medical care. And so you might be thinking, oh, I want sports industry, but in fact, industry does appear in the title, but it's not in any of the subject terms here. So if we were doing a subject search, it might not come up. In our next video, we'll talk a little bit more about doing what's called a Boolean search in order to narrow down our searches further. But this is just our first step in looking at searching. But before we pull out of this video, I want to make you aware of the menus over here on the left-hand side. Probably the most important thing to remember when you're utilizing library resources is that you should never, ever, ever just get the link from up here in the search bar. These tend to be temporary, and when you go to copy and paste that into your Word document or wherever you're saving your items, it won't remember you for the future. You need to utilize the permalink, which is over here on the right-hand side. When I clicked on permalink, you can see here that it gave me a special, very long URL here. And this permalink will authenticate you based on the fact that you are a member of the Hiram College community. So that login.hc.opal libraries is telling the link that you are a member of the Hiram College community. And so you get access to these items that the library pays for on your behalf. And then the rest of it is the stable link that takes you back to this specific article. You can also get citations from here. So I can click on Cite, and I have a variety of different citation options. One very important thing to note is to make sure that everything is accurate before you cite it. This one actually looks pretty good. Sometimes, in particular, the capitalization of the title can be a little bit tricky. Going back to our result list, I can also save the search results. So let's say I did all of that work to refine my search. I can click on Share, and then I can get a permalink, a persistent link to that search. All right, stay tuned for the next video to learn a little bit more about refining your searches. If you have questions about searching or any other library resources, please contact library@hiram.edu.